All right, so we're gonna. I missed this. I missed this great opportunity presenting the PowerPoint. Something went wrong, so I wanted to present it again to as a second um, video of our message on this morning. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the PowerPoint because I wanted to make sure you saw it. Some of you I talked it through, and I was just up there in the corner, and I'm thinking that you've seen the PowerPoint, but obviously you weren't. And so we want to look at this PowerPoint real quickly here. Okay, so again, and I'm gonna go through it, just as briefly as I can. So in this PowerPoint, we talked about the Human Rights Campaign. And so the Human Rights Campaign, this is a statement that they made before the election. They said, our lives are on the line. It's safe to say that in 2020, we face some of the most important decisions we will ever make. We are voting for our rights. The Human Rights Campaign is fighting to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and pro-equality candidates at all levels to ensure our progress toward equality isn't lost. And so they endorsed President-elect Joe Biden, and they did all that they could to make sure that he and others who were pro-equality candidates would get into office. And so now we see it that the whole government outside of the Supreme Court is definitely liberal. So we have a liberal government. And I'm not saying that every person in it is liberal, especially on the conservative side, that there are many who definitely are not liberal, they are conservative. But on the Democratic side, and even some Republicans, they are liberal people. Liberal being progressive. Progressive isn't wrong if it's applied right. We should progress. But when we progress beyond the boundaries of our Constitution based on the mindset of our founding fathers. So when they wrote the Constitution, they did not write it to be what we call a living document. I don't believe that. I don't believe nowhere in their mind that they ever would have thought that homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and the LGBTQ agenda would ever be something to have to worry about. So I guarantee in my own heart, I believe this, they would have put that in the Constitution, that marriage is between one man and one woman. Who wouldn't know that? Who would even think that it could be anything else in their mind? So certain things that they did not put in the Constitution because it doesn't have to be placed there, like a whole 100,000 other things that you never have to put on writing that everybody knows. Everyone knows a man should use a man's restroom. Well, why should I put that in there? And so anyway, this is where we are. And so they endorsed Joe Biden and the others who were pro-equality. They used the word equality. Yes, of course, equality is a good word, but not the way it's being applied here. And so let's look at the PowerPoint. So they have an agenda. We talked about, we talked some things, we explained who they were in the other video, but this one we're just going to go through just real briefly this PowerPoint dealing with some of the recommendations that they're making for the party that they help to get into position. So a statement: among its 85 policy recommendations for a Biden administration, HRC is urging. This is what they are urging in their recommendations. Now, I'm not going through 85. I'm only going to touch 13. You can go back and find the 85, and I guarantee you, there's no way you can agree with all these things that they're asking for. Okay, so now remember, we have a Democratic White House, a Democratic House of Representatives, and a Democratic Senate, because Kamala Harris will be the deciding vote in the Senate, so that gives them the advantage. So basically, whatever policy or bill, whatever bill that is to be passed by the liberals, it's going to get through. So once it gets through the House and the Senate, President Biden is going to sign it. It's designed that way. And so this is what these people with so much force and power, they're urging in their recommendations. All right, the first one, verse 3, that HIV positive individuals to be allowed into the military. If you're sick, you're sick. They won't let you in the military. If you have many sicknesses, they don't let you in. The release of transgender illegal immigrants. And so they're concerned about immigrants who are transgender. So there's a strong transgender push with the HRC, the Human Rights Campaign. There is a strong push for transgenderism because that's really going to break everything. That part of the agenda is going to break everything and is going to take away our freedom as believers. It's going to definitely break into what our convictions, our conscience, what we believe in our conscience, in our faith, will be challenged. A lot of it will be through the transgender agenda inside of the HRC. All right. So number 3, pervasive implementation of the Supreme Court's decision in June in Bostock versus Clayton, which prohibited discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, and transgender status. And so just basically that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of this thing that they wanted done, where there be no discrimination. Yes, there shouldn't be discrimination, but it should not. And I think that right now, as the church, we have a sense of protection against this, but there is a move to move the protection to where if someone who openly confess that they are, I'm gay, I'm transgender, I'm lesbian, whatever, and I want to work in your church, I want to work in it, I want to get on your payroll because you have an opening. You can't say I'm not going to hire you because you're transgender or because you're this. You can't do that. Even now, I'm not sure if we could get away with that. But anyway, any other place, definitely they can't. Any other on the marketplace, they can't get away with it because the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of this idea coming from the LGBTQ. The next 3. They want ending the Protecting Life in Global Health Assistance Program that bars overseas organizations that provide abortions from receiving taxpayer funds. And so any organized group who they are performing abortions, they don't want, right now they cut off from receiving taxpayers' funds. They're saying that that's wrong. They should be able to have taxpayers' funds. So they are supporting also a strong support for abortion, or what you might say, the women's rights, or the woman's right to choose, or a woman's right to choose. That's what they're about. That they call it equality, and so they're helping this abortion. They're helping the abortion agenda along. Also, number 5. Establish a special interagency working group to protect and support LGBTQ rights globally. So they want global protection, that wherever they go, I imagine if they go into a country that is totally against that they are protected. And there's an agency that they can turn to. If they're being discriminated against, whatever the case might be, they want protection. And I don't know if maybe they're reaching out trying to get an agency to work on protecting these LGBTQ people, even though they're not even American citizens. I don't know if they're trying to indulge or enforce this on other countries as well by creating an interagency. When they say interagency, maybe they're talking about an international agency or whatever the case may be, but they want that. They want the Biden administration to work on it. Number 6, to appointment of openly LGBTQ Supreme Court justices, judges, and officials. Now, it's one thing to be what you are. You know, you're not flaunting it. You just, this is who you are. Well, you and God, you deal with that. But when you got to openly, I am this, that's sad that they want a person to be able to walk around flaunting that I'm a woman, but you're really a man. Flaunting that, yeah, I'm a lesbian or whatever the case. It's like, be who you are. God going to deal with all of us where we are. However we live out this life, God is going to deal with us. But you don't go around flaunting. People don't go around saying, I'm an adulterer. I sleep with men's wives. People don't do that. They just do what they do. And they're going to have to deal with God, and God's going to deal with them. And I believe it's the same thing. When you openly, it's like they're trying to change our culture, trying to change society, change the mindset of generations to come. And so there we are. They want that in the Supreme Court. They want judges and other officials. Number 7, ensure coverage for transgender hormone treatments for independence of military personnel. Now that's sad that if I want my 8-year-old child to get hormone treatments because my boy said he's a girl and I want him to have the things that girls have. So I want hormone treatments. I want to get rid of his manly features and all those things. I'm saying the military is responsible for that. Let them be responsible. Sad. This is a recommendation. Number 8, ensure LGBT demands for pronoun use and access to bathroom and restroom facilities consistent with gender identity is not undermined by religious exemptions. And so that means that's an attack on the church, Christian colleges, Christian institutions, and whatever it may be, that you cannot say, I can't use the girls' bathroom because I am a trans woman. That means you're a man that says you're a woman. You're not that. You are a man. And if I cannot tell you you can't use the woman's bathroom, or tell the woman you can't use the man's bathroom, I can't do that. They want them to stop it. And they want them to not be able to call a man who is saying he's a woman a him. You got to call him a her. You got to call her a him. And that's what they want. And they want this thing to be in place, I guess, to where it will become a crime or something, or defamation of character, or whatever they would want the crime to be, that you have to call Betty Bob, and you have to call Bob Betty. And if you don't, you're in trouble. And if you say that, if you call Bob a him, you're in trouble. No. And so they want to fix that. Number 9, urge passage of federal law controlling what therapists say to LGBT clients. So if you're going for counseling, I can't try to talk you out of being gay. In other words, that's just the bottom line. I can't try to talk you out of thinking you're a woman. I got to work with you to help you develop into who you say you are. It's like, so in other words, you don't really need counseling. You need, some other things. So number 10, require faith-based colleges and universities to publicly post religious exemptions. So again, if I post it, let's say if you walk into the office in the college, it's going to probably end up in the churches also, in other religious institutions. So you walk up into the college and it make a statement that men cannot use the women's restrooms, women can't use the men's restrooms, showers, et cetera, et cetera. And you say that this is what we do, or we don't allow this, that, and the other when it comes to transgenderism and da-da-da. We don't hire da-da-da. Post it. So, because when you post it, we're coming at you. We're able to target you because we know you're one of those ones we've got to tame. And and they're doing it. They're taming people. They've tamed many organizations and businesses. They tame them. 11, ensure the government does not discriminate against LGBT individuals on the basis of religion. On the basis of religion. And so I guess I'm not sure on that one, but I'm thinking that it could go one way or the other or both ways. It could be that they want religious protection, or they want people in the government not to utilize their religious privilege to end up discriminating against them. So in other words, let's say that I'm a government person and I have certain religious beliefs, then I cannot let my religious beliefs determine what I do or don't do towards you. Anyway, I think that's an interesting one on the basis of religion. And so, yeah, so that means if remember the lady Kim Davis, how she would not sign the marriage certificates for the gay people. So I think that because she stood on religious principle, I think that's what that's talking about. I misunderstood it before, but I think as I'm talking, that really looks like what they are saying. And that way you will immediately be fired because you don't have the right to do it. I think that's it. Number 12, eliminate federal conscience protection regulations for healthcare providers. And like I said earlier, that is deadly. You talking about offensive. Anytime, remember Paul talked about this, that I think it's in the 14th chapter of Romans, when he talked about if you sin against the brother, it's like you sin against Christ. So in other words, if you cause the brother to violate his conscience, you're sinning against the Lord. That's what you're doing. And so right here, they're saying that either you will violate your conscience or you will be fired as a healthcare provider. And that's real serious. So the conscience protection regulation protects the healthcare people. Let's say if I'm a doctor, I say I don't do abortions. Let's say I'm capable, I have the ability, and my patient comes to me and say I need an abortion. I says I don't do that, and I can't recommend you for it. I can't give you a referral because I don't agree with that, and you have to go to another doctor for that. It says you can't do that anymore. You're going to have to give her the referral. Whatever the case is, you can't stand on your religious conscience and faith. That's real serious. When President Obama when former President Obama was president, he was about to do that. He was literally about to do that. And one day I was in prayer and I heard this while I'm in prayer. I just heard it in my spirit. It says, he can't do that. Or you can't do that. And I'm like, oh, and I thought about President Obama. And then I got in my car and I can't remember the details of this, but seems like Air Force One flew over the parking lot. But anyway, I turned the news on. I know that had happened before. I turned the news on and they were talking about President Obama is about to do that. And then everything broke out. All kind of chaos started happening. I can't think what it was in our country. War, Afghanistan. It was something happened and took his attention away. I guess he never got back to it. But they're saying, Mr. Biden, you got to do it. You got to take away this conscience protection clause, whatever it may be. All right. Lastly, number 13. Revise restrictions on transgender individuals to return to an exclusive policy of military service. So I believe President Trump stopped it, and they're saying that you got to start it back up. You got to let transgenders come into the military. And that's just going to wreak havoc, chaos. It's going to be very costly. You got to create certain barracks so the people will feel halfway comfortable just because you feel that you are a woman and you're really a man. That woman may not feel like that. They're saying, you got to believe what I feel. And I'm looking at you. You got a beard. You have men's muscles. You have hands like a man. and you up here in our barracks, and I'm supposed to pretend, or not pretend, but believe you're a woman. Ooh. And so they're going to have to, it would be very costly. And then if they want a sex change, military got to take care of it. And all of that. So it's horrible. And then when they get a sex change, they become a transsexual. Now it's like they can't go into men's barrack. And a lot of women don't want them in there. It's like, Lord, where are we headed? And so that's very serious. If we begin, and I believe that they're going to do it. They have the power to do that right now in the government, and they're going to do it. And I hope they don't make it a law. If they make it a law, it's going to take a lot for it to not be a law. If it just becomes a policy of the president, then the next president can undo it. But if it becomes a law, that means that the House and the Senate will have to be involved to change the law. And that means you're going to have the majority of whatever group wants to change it, or it won't be changed. It's just where it is. All right. Under the HRC, the Human Rights Campaign, there's what we call the Corporate Equality Index. They have a Corporate Equality Index where they list these businesses, and they require businesses to adhere to certain recommendations. In the 2020 Corporate Equality Index report, it says 686 major businesses spanning nearly every industry and geography earned a top score of 100 and the distinction of best places to work for LGBTQ equality. Now, what they have is a test. It's a test. It's a group of requirements that a company they will have to meet, and each requirement has a particular point value. And if they meet all of the requirements, they can get 100 points. And you'd have to go look up the requirements. I could have tried to put all that on there, but I didn't. You have to go look up the requirements. And so each requirement, there's a point value. And then if you do all your questions right, you're going to get 100. That's just the way it goes. But what happens, you're selling your soul for this. The business is selling its soul. It's trying to please the HRC because it means success in their businesses. Many businesses have fallen to this. First, they wouldn't do it, then they gave in to it. And that's just the way it goes. If you're going to succeed, you're going to obey the HRC. Bottom line, if you're going to succeed, or your business, and notice, let's look at some of these businesses that got 100. Walmart got 100 points. Just the other year, as I said earlier, they did a gay pride parade. Wow, they sponsored it. Apple, iPhone, 100. That means people, they're selling their soul. They're backing up this group. They're backing this group because they want success, even though that means they're going against, some of these people are going against their own conscience in order to have some temporary financial success. CVS almost made 100. They did 90. Amazon. And so that means that if you go in a store and a gay go in a store looking for a job, probably the gay person is going to get it. You know, if they make it very clear where they are, and probably because they want so much acceptance, they probably have a lot of gay people in position like supervisors, management, and all of that. So they're going to hire gay people. I mean, that's just the way it is. We can fight it, but that's just the way it is. Amazon, 100. Walgreens, 100. Why? Because they want to beat out CVS, I'm sure. Walgreens. they can't let CVS get all the business. So if Walgreens is at 100, you're going to get support from the HRC. And there are others that are 100, AT&T and Verizon. Wow. JP Morgan, United Health Group, and so on. All right. And so it's just where that is. And we just got to pray. We got to know that this is a season and we got to fight through it, but know also that God, he's seeking an occasion against our country. And some of these things that this HRC have recommended, guess what? They're going to be passed. They're going to be implemented. And some of these things that if they're implemented, remember it's 85, only went through 13. If some of these things are implemented, it's going to take us to a greater place in offense towards God. Anyway, God bless you. And I pray that you be able to, get a benefit from all of this. And I hope that it'll help. All right. So God bless you. We're gonna go ahead and end this today, and hopefully you'll be able to watch it later and look at it, and then do your own research. Research for yourself. That's what I say. Research for yourself. And let the Lord just lead you to what to look for. And eventually what happens, it helps in how you pray. So God bless you.